Hey guys, hope you all are doing well. In this KT session, we are gonna learn Chat GPT API integration with BluePrism using code stage. In this session, we will use C# code. In the previous session, we saw how can we configure web API definition in our BluePrism, and we were able to configure the Chat GPT API, but there was one limitation that in the request option we have added the body content and the type was template, but in this template or in request body we were hard coding this input value. This prompt is the input or the question or the query which we are asking to Chat GPT. So we have configured this API, but now if we want to ask some another question or we have some another query, then we have to change this here in the request body. So this is difficult to change it again and again, so we won't be able to consume it in our object and pass the dynamic prompt value. Every time it will return the result of this question or query, but if we want to ask some another question, then we have to make changes here. So to solve this issue, I have created Chat GPT API definition in the code stage. Let me show you so this is our code stage, and here we can input the value, whatever the question we want to ask. We will input it here, and we can also make it dynamic using the data item. So let's say we are going to ask what is COVID-19. Now run the bot, and in the results in current value go to choices, and we can see the results here. COVID-19 is a contagious respiratory illness caused by the novel coronavirus. Again, you can limit it your search results, the amount of the result, this data by using maximum token parameter. So this is how you can use this Chat GPT using code stage. If you don't have any idea of web services, you can watch all the videos of this playlist, web API services in BluePrism. So after watching all the videos, you will get a good idea of API services, means how can we configure API services in BluePrism. And this video, Chat GPT integration with KT-Sesh with the BluePrism. Using this in this video, we have configured the Chat GPT API in BluePrism. Into this video, we are gonna write a code stage to use the Chat GPT API in our BluePrism process. Let me show you the request body. This is the request body of our Chat GPT API request. In previous video, I showed how can we get the API key and this request body and all the other details of this API. So you can you can watch that video first, so that you will get a good idea of Chat GPT API. First of all, we are using this model. This is the compulsory parameter, and the value will be text Davinci 003 and maximum tokens 4800. No, it should be 4000 only. And in prompt, we will ask the question, and we have to pass this value in our API definition. So let's go to the Object Studio and create a new action. Now take in code stage. So we will write the code. And here we go. So let me explain the working of this code. I have taken a code try stage and catch stage. So in try, we are like setting this API and invoking, or we can sending the post request to this API and getting the response. So first of all, we have setting the OpenAI completions API. For this, we need API key and the base URL. So if you have watched the previous video on Chat GPT, you will be like familiar with this, or you are aware of this now. So before this, let me show you some namespaces that you need to import. You may make sure that all these imports are available, and this DLL system.net.http.dll and system.net.http namespace, system.threading.task namespace, system.net.http headers namespace, and system.text namespace. Okay, you should make sure that all these are available in your this business object properties, and language should be C#. Now click on OK and go back to the code. So first we have created two variables to store the API key and base URL of that API, and then we have created a object of HTTP client, and using this object client we are calling this default request headers dot authorization. So as in previous video, we have created two headers, authorization and content type. Similarly, we are creating authorization variable header here. For this, we have assigned a new authorization header value to this, and it will be like bearer and API key. HTTP request message. So now we are creating an object of HTTP request message, and here we are passing the method name, which will be http method dot post and the base URL. So now we have set up the request, and using this message object we will set the content, and here we will pass the JSON, and I have taken this input, or we can we can hard code the value here as well, like we did in the API configuration, but we are using this code so that we can make this request dynamic, means we can input our value every time when we call this API. So I've created this object, I've created this variable, we can say, and here you can see we are using backslash before this double quotes, because all these keys and values should be in double quotes, because this is the JSON. So in JSON we write all the keys and values in double quotes, as I told in my JSON video. So in C# we can't give the double quotes directly, we have to use backslash. So we are using backslash every time, you can see. And now as we set the authorization header here, now we are setting the headers dot content type, that will be application backslash JSON, and now we will get the response, and that for getting the response we will use this client dot send async message and dot result, and this results, and from this result we will fetch the and from this response we will fetch the result, and that result we will store in our output variable, that will be response. And in case of any exception, we will throw that exception, or we will catch that exception in our response variable. Now let me create this response variable first. This will be our output, and in output we will get in JSON. Okay, so I will show you like how can we extract the JSON from that string, and here it will be input, and in input we have to give some value, and here we need to give value in double quotes. Let me show you. So here, because see this one, this model is the key, and this text will be the DaVinci will be the value. So we have written this in the double quotes. Similarly for prompt we are using double quotes, and here for input the value should be in double quotes. So for using double quotes we will write like this. We will add 3 double quotes in the beginning and 3 at the end. Okay, and our query Again, we can make it dynamic, like we can use a variable as well. So here there isn't any error. Let's run the bot. And here we go, we got the response, and here we can see in the text, let me I take an action stage and select utility JSON, because the response we got, it is in JSON, and JSON to collection, and in input we will give this response, and in output we will create a result collection, and after that take one calculation stage. So now we got the result in our text. So here we can see our result. Virat Kohli is an international cricket player, and all we can see. So this is how we can use C# code to integrate the Chat GPT API. And using code stage is very easy if you don't create any code stage till if you don't use any if you didn't use any code stage, or you didn't write any code till now. So just you need to like take a code stage and make sure all the namespaces which we use in our C# code, like we use the using system, using system.text, using this and that. So all those namespaces we need to add here, and if the DLL or external references are required, then add those here. Just click on add, and you can give the name, or you can browse from your system as well if there is any external library you want to add. And similarly for namespaces, you have to mention the name of the namespace here. Click on add, and then give the name of the namespace, and select the language as C# or VB or Visual.js, and go to your code stage and start coding. This is very simple to use this code stage. No need to like write the headers, means using the system, using that, and all. No need to create any function or that method. Just take this try block and start coding. It is very simple. And if you want to use the BluePrism input and outputs, so you can use like this create input, and the value will be here. So now let's say if you want to give the value dynamically, means from your BluePrism itself. So take a data item, and select the data type, and in initial value, or you can make it dynamic. You can make it a startup parameter or something else, or you can take the value from another, from some calculation stage or some another action, or you can make it a startup parameter, like whichever process will call this, they will give the input. Now give this input from user, and data type will be text, and we will give, go to that code, and here in input and in output, just create a variable, just give a name which you want to use in your code, okay, and store in, this will be the name of the data item, and this will be the name which you want to use in your code stage, okay. So here we are using response. Now click on OK. So here we need to give this skipping j array, okay, response and results, and go to the code stage and go to the code stage once, and here we need to give 4 double quotes because this, and 4 double quotes at the end. Let me show you why. When we click on evaluate expression and I give any value like hi and all, and click on test, now you can see 1 double quotes in the beginning and one is in the end. Okay, so we have to use 4 double quotes and click on okay. Now refresh and run it. Okay, we got the response. MS Dhoni is a former Indian cricketer who captained the Indian. So this is how we can use ChatGPT code to integrate the API, completion API in our BluePrism 2. And we can make it dynamic like this. You can ask any question and it will give you the answer. That's it. So guys, thanks for watching this video. Do comment your doubts and questions, and make sure you watch the previous video on ChatGPT so that you can get a better idea of this video, and especially ChatGPT, the API of the ChatGPT, because all the headers and APIs and everything we discussed in the last video. So you have to watch this, guys. Okay.